On today's video, I'm gonna answer the 3 biggest questions that I get from every other real estate investor about marketing directly to sellers. All right, when marketing directly to sellers, there's a lot of things to consider. And usually this is what stops newer real estate investors in their tracks. But I also see very seasoned real estate investors getting this wrong. If we haven't met, my name's Bill Allen. I'm a Navy pilot turned full-time real estate investor, and I've flipped and wholesaled over 800 houses in the past 5 years. And all of them, but 10, have been direct to sellers. So I know a thing or two about marketing directly to sellers. The first thing that you want to think about is your budget. And this is the question I get all the time. How much should I spend on marketing? And what I want you to think about is you can't just go for a week or two of marketing directly to sellers. This has got to be a long-term strategy that you're committed to. So your budget has got to be 6 months long, minimum. So I always tell people and teach them when I'm coaching them is give a 6-month runway on your budget for whatever marketing channel it's going to be. And on top of that, only pick one marketing channel to start with. You don't need to do 5 or 6 different channels of marketing. And that's the second piece that I'm going to talk about is what is the best marketing channel to start with. And then the third thing that I'm going to discuss is when to add the next marketing channel. So budget, what's the best marketing channel for you? And then when should I add the next channel? Let's start with which marketing channel to start with, and then we'll build out our budget from there. For each of you, you have some skill set. You have something that you're good at, and you have some resource that's available to you. So for me, I didn't have any time, but I had a little bit of money. So I knew that I would look at a channel that I was able to go all in on with some money, but if I didn't have enough time. So for you guys, you have something. You might be really great talking on the phone. You might love talking on the phone. So you might want to start with cold calling. You might be great at systems and processes and software, and you might be able to build out a texting platform where you can do some texting back and forth on one of the softwares that allow for that. You might really love to go door to door, knock on doors, and do face-to-face selling with people. You might have a ton of time. And for that, maybe you can drive around and drive for dollars and write those down and figure out how to skip trace them and either call them, text them, or mail them. You might have some digital marketing background or online background where you could build out a pay-per-click campaign on Google or a Facebook ad campaign or work on SEO for a website and build a website. You have some sort of skill set and some background that gives you a competitive advantage over somebody else that doesn't have that skill set. And that's where I want you to think. I want you to look at all the different channels that you could be marketing, whether it's direct mail, it's cold calling, it's texting, it's ringless voicemails, it's online advertising like Google AdWords, Facebook advertising, SEO on a website. It could be driving for dollars and then using one of those channels to build out that list. It could be knocking on doors. It could be networking. You've got to think about what skill set you have. So focus on one of those. I'll tell you, every single one of those channels work if you work it and you do a good job. But you've got to focus on one. So if you pick one, so for me, I'll give you an example for me. Mine was direct mail. I didn't have a lot of time. I had some money, and I was just going to put postcard after postcard after postcard in people's mailboxes over and over and over again and commit to that because I had some other mentors that were doing really well with it. And we still get about 60% of our deals and revenue through direct mail. So I can tell you it still works. And I also have members of our 7-figure flipping mastermind group that do each of those channels and do really, really well with them. Some that do really well cold calling and others that don't do really well cold calling and do really well with direct mail and vice versa. Pick a channel that works for you. Where's your skill set? Where can you focus on? Where can you consistently do those things? For me, when I was sending out direct mail, I was flying all the time for the Navy and I couldn't answer the phone. So what I needed to do is I needed to hire somebody to answer the phone, and I put that into my budget. So that's the next place that we're gonna go. I looked at my budget. When you pick this channel, you have an idea of where you wanna go. You don't know the scale at which you can perform in that area in that channel without coming up with a budget. So the next thing that I want you to do is say, okay, over 6 months, here's the amount of money and time that I have to invest in this. So I have this much time and this much money over the next 6 months. And then what you can do is you can back out your budget from there. So for me, my example is I had $30,000 that I was investing into this business. And that wasn't just marketing. For me, that was all the systems and operations. That was a lead intake manager, somebody on the phone, and that was all my marketing. So what I found was it was gonna take me about $500 a week to hire my team member. So that was gonna be $2,000 a month. When, remember, I had $30,000 for 6 months, so I had $5,000 a month. My team member takes $2,000 of that, so I have $3,000 left over. It took about $500 to run all my systems. I had some CRMs, websites, little things like that. So about $500, give or take. So now I have $2,500 left. So I said, okay, I have $2,500 to spend on marketing to get my phone to ring, to get leads in the door. So from there, I said, how many postcards could I send out with $2,500. And in fact, at that time, I said, how many letters could I send out? So $2,500 was about $1 a letter. So I could send out 2,500 letters. But it was also about 33 cents for a postcard then for me to invest in. So I could send out 3 times the postcards that I could letters. So for $2,500, I could send out 7,500 postcards. So what that allowed me to do was to get in front of more potential sellers. The other thing I love about the postcard is they had to read it even to throw it in the trash, where a letter, it looked like junk mail, they could just throw it away without even opening it and reading it. So at the very least, they're seeing my logo, they're seeing my phone number, they're seeing all that stuff. So my budget, my marketing budget was $2,500 a month. My overhead and operational budget was $2,500 a month. So $5,000 a month or $30,000. So from there, if I had $2,500 a month, I could either get to 7,500 people on a postcard, or if texting was a big form back then, this was like 6-7 years ago, and people weren't texting folks to sell their houses or cold calling much or doing those kind of things. If I could go back in time, I'd probably put that $2,500 towards text messaging, because for the same cost, I can get a text message out just for a couple cents. And so I could build a system around that back then. So think about you right now. What do you have? Do you have time? Do you have money? Maybe you have no money and you have a lot of time. So what you might want to do is build out a Driving for Dollars campaign where you have a much more targeted list. Then you can skip trace that and cold call it. Or maybe you want a text message, or maybe you want a cold call because it's a little bit more cost effective for you. And so think about that. The other thing is you might want to go knock on some doors. Go drive for dollars and knock on doors and just talk to people. You might just want to network. Go to networking events. Buy from wholesalers if you're a flipper. Those kind of things. So we looked at our marketing budget, and it took me 4.5 months to get my first deal. So don't get discouraged if it takes you a couple months to get your first deal from any type of marketing campaign that you put forward. The next thing that I want to talk about is when to add the next marketing channel. So what I see a lot of people do right now is they just do 4 or 5 marketing channels and they just scratch the surface. This is a big problem. What you want to do is you want to go really deep in one marketing channel. This is my advice. And then go to the next marketing channel and add it on. So for my experience, I had direct mail campaign. So I was sending postcards, and I got really, really good and mastered that. And then what I did was I added in pay-per-click marketing on Google AdWords. And I didn't do it all at once. I didn't do 3 different marketing channels where I'm just scratching the surface. I went really deep in one. I mastered it. I started getting consistent deal flow to the point that it's almost on autopilot. And then I added in the next thing because there's a lot of tweaking and learning of that new marketing channel. It's an investment that takes time to bear fruit. For you guys, if you're out there, master one channel, focus on it, get really, really good at it, and then potentially expand your marketplace to maybe a couple other zip codes outside of your main hub there, to the point where you've exhausted that resource and you need to add in another channel, and then figure out how to learn and test and pivot your new marketing channel and add it in. That's my advice. Those are my 3 biggest things that I can give you for marketing directly to sellers that I've learned over the last 5 or 6 years, spent hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars, on our marketing campaigns. And I've learned those 3 things, and to boil them down into a 10-minute video for you is really powerful. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you love this, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, share it with a friend, and I will see you guys on the next one. Leave me a comment if there's something that I left out or something that you need on another video. I'll be happy to make it for you. I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.